You tend to reenact old dynamics. So you are attracted to a narcissist. You put up with red flags and stuff in the relationship that you shouldn't. And pretty soon you're back into a narcissistic relationship. Well, welcome to another little chat with Tim. I want to do a little mini series, short chats on some more narcissism stuff. I've done talks on narcissism in the past that I've really tried to explore it in depth, but I just wanted to add a few things that I've picked up over the years that I thought I'd put into short videos. And today I'd like to talk about what's the results of being in a relationship with a narcissist for a period of time. How does it affect the person? And this could be being in an intimate relationship where there's a partner, a husband, a wife, whatever. Or it could be a parent or grandparent that you were in a relationship with for years. Or it could be a boss or a religious leader that claims to represent God, and then you do all you can to please them and have a relationship with them as your pastor or leader. How does that affect you? And I would say there's a real good chance that you have complex trauma or complex PTSD as a result of that. Because what happens when you're in a relationship with a narcissist is that you're always on guard. You're always feeling a certain element of lack of safety or danger, or something might happen. And over time, that begins to take its toll and you get complex trauma. Now, some of you might get a little bit resistant to that and go, yeah, I don't think that's what happened to me. And so what I'd like to do today is just to give you a very basic test that you can apply to yourself, hopefully with an open mind, just to see if these characteristics apply to you. And then at the end, we'll talk a little bit more about it. So what are the indicators that a person has complex PTSD? And if you come out of a relationship with a narcissist and you have these characteristics, then you go, okay, where did these characteristics come from? So the first is just basically you've been exposed to actual or threatened violence. And that could be you've been threatened that they're going to hurt you or kill you or sexually violate you, or you've witnessed somebody else being threatened or something bad happening to them. But you've been in an environment of threats of actual violence as part of that relationship. And then some of the emotional and psychological results that would come out of that would be a hypervigilance that you've never had before. So now you're always looking for danger, scanning the environment, the horizon, feeling like you're walking on eggshells. And that can go on even after the relationship has ended. And then you have recurrent, involuntary, intrusive memories of events that happened. They just pop into your head. Or you have emotional flashbacks. So suddenly something is happening in your life today that triggers all of this flood of emotions, and they're all negative emotions: fear, worthlessness, shame, panic. All of that gets triggered and comes rushing in. And always the result is that there's an increased shame, so that you have a lower self-image. Deep down, you don't feel anybody would want you. You feel anybody that gets to know you is going to abandon you or reject you. You feel like you're too much, or you're not enough, or you're just unlovable. Those lies have just deepened in their beliefs in you, in their intensity in you as a result of this relationship. And then there's a persistent guilt that follows you around. So you hear all of the words of the narcissist in your head, their criticisms, their blame, all the things they tried to make your fault, and you're wondering if maybe they were right, that it's somehow your fault, that somehow you should have been able to fix it. If only you had tried more things, you probably could have fixed it. So there's just this nagging guilt all the time. And then there's what we would call identity erosion. You're not sure anymore who you are. You don't know who you are apart from the relationship. You've kind of absorbed the narcissist's view of you that you're nothing without them, that you can't do anything right, that you can't think properly for yourself. And then what becomes part of that is, so you got lost in the relationship. You lost yourself just trying to take care of the narcissist. And so you find that you're still obsessed in your thinking with the narcissist. You're not looking to fix yourself. You're not looking to heal yourself. You're looking to try and change the narcissist, to try to get the narcissist, wondering what you need to do to get the narcissist to see you, to hear you, to value you. And then you find you have difficulty trusting. The narcissist has caused you to distrust everybody. And so now when you meet new people, you just assume they're going to manipulate you, betray you, abandon you, use you. So trust has been terribly damaged. And then you find you just have this deep, deep anger inside for all that you've been through, the mistreatment, for not being seen, for your needs not being met, for being betrayed, all of those things. There's just this deep, deep anger, and it often shows up in a lot of irritability. And then at times you're just going to be hit with a deep grief that you just miss this person so much. But you've not just lost this person. Sometimes the grief is all the wasted years with this person, all the lost opportunities. And then there's going to be a real conflicted emotions inside where at one moment you just hate this person, the other moment you love them and want to get back with them. And so you're just this torn sense inside of you of love-hate at the same time. And then at times there's just this wanting to hope that maybe there is a way to fix the relationship, a way that maybe you could get back together. It's like a flickering candle, but it's still there. And then you're going to find some cognitive indicators. So intrusive thoughts. So your brain's going to replay arguments that you had with the person, cruel words that they said to you, demeaning incidents where they put you down, they embarrassed you, they made you feel terrible. That's just going to pop into your head periodically. And then lots of self-doubt and confusion. So you question your own perception of things. You question your sense of reality. You question your ability to think for yourself. All of that's the results of the gaslighting that has taken place by the narcissist for years. And now you find you just still have trouble thinking for yourself and believing your own perceptions of things, even trusting your gut. And so that leads to difficulty making decisions because your fear of making the wrong decision, your fear that you're not smart enough to make a good decision, your fear you're going to get punished if you make the wrong decision. And then you might have some memory issues that crop up. So you have the inability to remember important aspects of what happened over the past years. You might find that you also have difficulty concentrating or focusing. You get a bit of brain fog. All of that becomes part of your existence. And then you find times of dissociation where you just zone out. You're just unable to be present in the present. You don't like sitting quietly. You want to stay busy. You want to stay distracted. Sitting quietly, that makes stuff too uncomfortable for you. And then there's some behavior indicators. Many begin to want to isolate. It's like they just don't want to be around people, either because they're afraid that people are judging them or what they've been saying behind their back, can't look people in the eye, so it's just easier to stay away. Or they're afraid they're going to get attacked. They're going to get these long, I told you so sermons, and it's just going to be more painful. Or they're just too tired. They're depressed. They just don't want to deal with people. And so it's easier to isolate. Some go to people pleasing. So they know that these friends and family have been warning them about this person for years and they've ignored it. And now they just want to get back with these friends and family. So they go over the top to try to please them, to be whatever they want them to be, to avoid conflict with them. And again, they're going back to just old survival tools to try and keep themselves safe because of all that's happened. Some just go to avoid. So you steer clear of any reminders of the narcissist, any conflict, any intimate relationships, because it's just easier to avoid all the things that stir up pain than to deal with the pain. And then dysregulated responses. So you're going through a day, you've been very calm, very much operating out of a very healthy place in your brain, and then something triggers an emotion in you, fear, anger, shame, and you just lose it. And you go from 0 to 100 in a nanosecond, and you lash out, and you just can't stop those emotions once they start to happen. And that happens periodically. And then there's some physical or somatic indicators. So you find that there's a lot of kind of chronic tension, muscle tightness that results in headaches, stomach issues. It's like all of that tension over the last years was stored in your body. And now your body's starting to talk to you. That can also result in sleep disturbances. So you have nightmares, or you just can't sleep, or you have difficulty sleeping, you fall asleep, but then you wake up and then can't fall back to sleep. Some are even afraid to fall asleep because they're afraid of the nightmares that are going to come. Most go through great exhaustion, chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue. Their body is just had it. It's burnt out. And that can go on for months after coming out of the relationship. And then others find that they have just physical pain. All of a sudden, they're just aware that they hurt in different parts of their body. And then there's relationship indicators that you might see. So you make friends with new people, but now you find this intense fear of abandonment, that they're probably going to abandon me once they start to get to know me. And that just becomes consuming. And that can lead to jealousy issues or sabotaging relationships. Or you tend to reenact old dynamics. So you are attracted to a narcissist. You put up with red flags and stuff in the relationship that you shouldn't. And pretty soon you're back into a narcissistic relationship. Most struggle with boundaries because with a narcissist, you couldn't have any boundaries. So now they go to either very rigid boundaries or not at all. They just don't know how to set boundaries, how to enforce boundaries, how to say no. And so boundaries is a huge issue. And then they just find they become quite emotionally numb. So they have difficulty feeling joy. They have difficulty getting close to anybody, just showing warmth, affection. There's just a flatness, a roboticness about them. It's just like their emotions have shut down. So, how did you do? Those are some of the indicators of complex trauma, complex PTSD. And so if those were true of you after you've come out of a relationship with a narcissist, I'm not surprised. Because what I want you to see is that a narcissist doesn't know how to provide safety, doesn't know how to meet needs for another person, doesn't know how to connect with another person. And so the other person always feels lack of safety due to the disconnection. They feel lack of safety because the other person's not meeting their needs. Narcissists create complex trauma environments, and the longer you stay in it, the greater the effect on you, and it takes its toll. So if you realize, wow, I have complex PTSD because of my relationship with a narcissist, please get help. You will benefit so much from getting help with a therapist, with taking a course like our Lift course, to really help you begin to deal with all that stuff. And the ramifications are huge. But I want to leave you with one final thing to think about. If you have complex trauma today because of a relationship of a narcissist, I want you to consider the fact that that's actually a symptom that you probably have complex trauma from earlier in childhood that set you up to be attracted to a relationship with a narcissist, to be unable to walk away from all the red flags that you saw, not listen to your gut when you first met the narcissist. So you were set up earlier in life with complex trauma that made you vulnerable to having it repeated with a narcissist today. You need help with that as well. I hope this helps you. If this is true of you, that you go, wow, I need to get some help here.